Before we begin, imagine this. A powerful SEAL admiral laughs at a janitor, calling him Mop Boy, unaware that the man once led missions so secret they were erased from military databases. What happens next will make your heart race. If you love dramatic stories with twists and deep emotion, tap like, subscribe, and let's begin. The Navy's Atlantic Command headquarters in Norfolk buzzed like a beehive that morning. Officers hurried through corridors. Radios crackled with encrypted chatter, and tension hung thick. A high-ranking foreign attaché had been injured during a covert joint operation, and Washington demanded answers. Admiral Weston Briggs, a decorated SEAL commander known for equal parts brilliance and arrogance, marched through the hallways in his crisp uniform. His presence made rooms stiffen. His voice made people straighten. His ego, however, made almost everyone roll their eyes as soon as he passed. That's when he saw him, the janitor, a tall black man, quiet, shoulders broad, movements precise and deliberate. He pushed a cleaning cart with the calmness of someone who had seen life from angles no one else in that building could imagine. Most people simply nodded to him. Briggs did not. "Morning, soldier," Briggs barked sarcastically. "Or should I say, mop operative? What's your code name? Broomstick? Dust master?" A few young officers snickered. The janitor paused, looked up slowly, and, for a split second, Briggs felt something strange, like two icy fingers sliding down his spine. The man's eyes were sharp, focused, alert. He didn't look like a janitor. He looked like someone who used to give orders, not take them. But then the man simply replied, "Just doing my job, sir." The Admiral scoffed. "Relax, it's a joke. Lighten up." The janitor nodded and continued sweeping. But two things stuck in Briggs's mind. One, the man moved with the controlled precision of a trained operator. Two, and he had a faint scar on his neck, the kind Briggs had only seen on men who survive close-quarters combat. Before he could think more about it, his aide rushed up. "Sir, the intel team is ready for the briefing." Briggs shook off the moment. "Good. Let's get answers." Inside the briefing room, screens glowed with satellite imagery. Analysts whispered nervously. The foreign attaché's life hung in the balance, and the Pentagon was breathing down their necks. Briggs slammed a folder on the table. "We lost a man, our cover was blown, and the extraction turned into a disaster. Someone on our side made a mistake. We find that mistake." The room went silent. As the meeting intensified, something unusual happened. A maintenance request notification beeped on the wall panel. The air filtration system had stalled during the briefing. A tech officer called down the hallway. "A maintenance? We need someone in here." Moments later, the same janitor walked in with a toolbox. Briggs sighed. "Really? In the middle of an intelligence briefing?" The janitor didn't look flustered at all. "I'll be quiet," he said softly. He climbed a small ladder and began working on the vent. Then something extraordinary happened. One of the analysts, a junior cryptographer, stared at him with widening eyes. "Sir, Admiral, do you know who that is?" Briggs frowned. "The janitor?" "No, sir. That's—" Before she could finish, the janitor turned his head sharply and gave her one quick, measured look, the kind that said, not another word. She froze. Her hands trembled. She mouthed something Briggs barely caught. "Lone Eagle." The room fell dead silent. Admiral Briggs blinked. No, Lone Eagle wasn't a real operator. He was a ghost story, a myth. But the analyst swallowed hard. "I wrote my thesis on erased special ops missions. Lone Eagle led the only recorded extraction from the Maruk Valley without casualties. He vanished afterward. They said he was dead." Briggs finished. He looked up, but the janitor, Lone Eagle, had already finished fixing the vent. He stepped off the ladder, closed his toolbox, and said in a calm voice, "Airflow should be stable now." Briggs approached him slowly. "Who are you?" The janitor didn't blink. Someone who served his time. Someone who wanted a quiet life. Briggs felt anger rising in his chest. Not because he disliked the man, but because he suddenly felt small. "Why are you sweeping floors in a building where you used to command ghosts?" The man answered with the same quiet power that once made militants surrender without a fight. "Because sometimes peace is worth more than praise." Before Briggs could respond, the encrypted screen flickered. Something was wrong. The injured foreign attaché in the hospital bed appeared on video. His heart rate spiked. He struggled to breathe. A doctor shouted, "His oxygen is dropping." Briggs snapped, "Patch in the medical feed." The analysts panicked. Data packets were corrupted, the feed glitched, and no one could interpret the telemetry. Except one man. Lone Eagle stepped forward. "Move." No one argued. He typed fast, navigating systems he shouldn't even have access to. He decrypted files, stabilized the video feed, and analyzed mission telemetry with uncanny precision. After 30 seconds, he muttered, "This wasn't bad intel. It was sabotage." The room erupted. Sabotage? From where? Lone Eagle enlarged a corrupted file. Hidden deep in metadata was an embedded signature. A signature Boulanger, not to an enemy, but to someone inside the U.S. chain of command. Briggs felt his stomach twist. Why would someone do that? Lone Eagle didn't look at him. He looked through him. Because you have a mole, and he's not done yet. The Admiral swallowed hard. How do you know? Lone Eagle finally met his eyes. Because the last time I saw this signature was the day I disappeared. The room froze. Briggs whispered, "Someone tried to kill you." Lone Eagle nodded once. "And they're still here." The air felt heavier than before. Briggs stepped back, shaken. The janitor, the man he mocked, just exposed a traitor woven into the very structure of their operation. And that was when the first alarm rang. Unauthorized access. Level 3 security breach. Someone was wiping internal servers. Lone Eagle grabbed Briggs's arm. "Admiral, your mole is trying to erase himself." Briggs finally understood. The janitor wasn't just a ghost from a classified past. He was the only man who could keep the present from collapsing. And the Admiral, for the first time in years, felt fear. Real fear. The sirens echoed through the steel corridors, bathing everything in pulsing red light. Officers scattered. Technicians shouted into radios. Panic spread like a virus. Lone Eagle stood perfectly still, like a predator listening for the faintest crack of a twig. Admiral Briggs clutched the edge of the briefing table. "What do we do?" "He's wiping the servers." Lone Eagle didn't look panicked. He looked activated, like a switch flicked inside him, awakening a part of himself he'd buried years ago. "Contain the exits," he ordered. Briggs blinked. I'll issue the command." "No," Lone Eagle said sharply. "You don't have time for the chain of command. Do it yourself." Briggs hesitated only a second before slamming his palm on the emergency comm panel. "All security teams. Lockdown protocol. Seal every door. Now." Metal shutters clanged down across the building. Lone Eagle stepped toward the hallway. Briggs called after him. "You're a civilian. You can't." Lone Eagle turned, eyes cold. "No rank. No uniform. No clearance." Then his voice dropped lower, sharper. "But you need me. And you know it." Briggs didn't argue. He followed. The hunt begins. They moved fast through the corridors, Briggs struggling to match Lone Eagle's stride. The janitor, no, the operative, navigated the building like he'd memorized every inch of it. "Where's he going?" Briggs asked, breath tight. "Server core," Lone Eagle said. "If he wipes the physical drives, you lose all evidence. And your attaché dies without answers." "How do you know he's heading there?" Lone Eagle glanced back, voice steady. "Because that's what I would do." Briggs swallowed hard. They turned a corner, just as a fire door slammed shut in front of them. Lone Eagle pressed his ear to it. "Someone's inside." Briggs reached for his radio. "Security, we need." Lone Eagle held up a hand. "No guns. The mole set this up. He wants confusion." He took a single step back. Briggs frowned. "You're not going to." Lone Eagle kicked. The steel door buckled inward like it had been hit by a battering ram. Briggs stared, stunned. "You clean floors with that strength?" Lone Eagle shrugged. "Waxing machines are heavy." They pushed through. The hallway beyond was empty, except for a trail of dusty footprints leading toward the lower levels. Briggs pointed. "Maintenance dust." Lone Eagle nodded. He thought using a service passage would hide him. They began descending the stairwell. As they moved, Briggs whispered, "Why did you disappear? Why walk away from Navy?" Lone Eagle didn't answer at first. Then, because the people I trusted betrayed me. The mole's signature? It was on the order that sent me into an ambush. They wanted me dead. Briggs froze mid-step. Why? Lone Eagle met his eyes. Because I found evidence of illegal strikes. And someone high up was profiting. Briggs's jaw clenched. You're saying someone in this building is tied to that? Lone Eagle nodded once. And he's desperate now. The mole reveals himself. They reached the sub-level corridor that led to the server room. A figure stood at the far end. Lean, nervous, dressed in an intelligence officer's uniform. Briggs squinted. Commander Hale. Hale turned, holding a data drive and a trembling sidearm. Stay back. Briggs felt a hollow drop in his stomach. Hale was a respected officer. Smart, steady, trusted. But his eyes were wild now, desperate. Hale, Briggs said softly, put the gun down. We can talk. No. Hale is screaming. You don't understand. This whole system is rotten. Lone Eagle was supposed to be gone. He was a ghost. His hand shook violently. Lone Eagle stepped forward with the calm of a man approaching a frightened animal. Hale, look at me. Hale Filinchit. You framed me once, Lone Eagle said quietly. You sent me into the valley with bad intel. You tried to tie up loose ends. Hale's voice cracked. I had no choice. They would have buried me, too. Ooh, Briggs shouted. Hale shook his head rapidly. No, if I say their name, I'm dead before sunset. Lone Eagle raised both hands slowly. You don't have to run anymore. Just give me the drive. Hale hesitated. His gun lowered a fraction. Then the hallway lights flickered. A security override flashed, and a robotic voice announced. Lockdown lift initiated. External clearance authorized. Briggs's blood turned cold. No, someone else is helping him escape. Hale's face twisted with relief. They're coming for me. Lone Eagle moved. Fast. A blur. He slapped the pistol out of Hale's hand, twisted his arm, and pinned him against the wall so smoothly Briggs almost didn't process what happened. The data drive clattered to the floor. Hale screamed. You don't know what you're doing. They'll kill us all. Lone Eagle growled in his ear. They already tried. The real twist. Before Briggs could step forward, a gunshot rang out. Not from Hale. From behind them. Briggs spun and felt his chest hollow out in horror. Standing at the top of the stairwell was Admiral Rowan Pierce, the second highest-ranking officer on the base, Briggs's mentor, and the man sponsoring the entire attaché investigation. Smoke curled from Pierce's pistol. His voice was chillingly calm. Let the boy go, Briggs whispered. Admiral Pierce descended the steps with the ease of someone who believed he was untouchable. I told you, Weston, you're too loyal for your own good. That's why we kept you out of the darker operations. His eyes shifted to Lone Eagle. You should have stayed buried. Lone Eagle didn't blink. You gave the order. Pierce smiled faintly. Of course I did. You found things no one was supposed to know. And Hale, well, Hale needed direction. Hale yimpit. Lone Eagle tensed. If you shoot, you hit him, not me. Pierce's eyes hardened. That's the idea. He raised the gun. Briggs stepped in front of Lone Eagle instinctively. Admiral, stop. This is treason. Pierce sighed. No, this is course correction. He pulled the trigger. A click. Empty. Lone Eagle smiled for the first time. I jammed it when I passed you on the staircase. Pierce's face drained of color. That was all Lone Eagle needed. He slammed the Admiral to the ground with a force that rattled the tiles. Hale collapsed too, sobbing. Briggs cuffed him himself. His hands shook the entire time. Resolution and moral. Hours later, after federal agents swarmed the base, after Hale and Pierce were taken away, after the servers were secured and the attaché stabilized, Briggs found Lone Eagle back where he started, with a mop, quiet, alone, sweeping the same hallway where he'd been mocked. Briggs approached gently. You saved this base. You saved lives. You uncovered treason. You're a hero. Lone Eagle didn't stop sweeping. No, I'm just someone who didn't look away. Briggs swallowed. Why come back? Why hide as a janitor? Lone Eagle finally stopped. Because power blinds men. Titles corrupt them. But humility. He looked around the empty hallway. Humility keeps your soul clean. Briggs exhaled. What will you do now? Lone Eagle smiled faintly. Keep sweeping. You'd be surprised how much truth you find when people forget you're in the room. Please, if this story moved you, here's my question. Would you choose truth over comfort, even if it costs you everything? Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more powerful stories like this.